Hello all, welcome to Genius channel. We'll see some previous year physics questions. Okay, so if you read the question number 51, please read that. Which one of the following statements is correct? Any energy transfer that does not involve temperature difference in some way is not heat. Any energy transfer always requires a temperature difference. On heating, the length and volume of object remains exactly the same. Whenever there is a temperature difference, heat is the only way of energy transfer. Okay, so please try all of you. Please read all the statements and tell me which is the correct statement. You can comment your answers. Okay, so which is the correct statement? Correct answer is option A. Option A. Any energy transfer that does not involve temperature difference in some way is not heat. Okay, so what is the meaning? That means when there is a temperature difference, heat will be evolved. When there is a temperature, so whenever there is a change in temperature, what is happening? Heat is evolved. Okay, whenever there is a change in temperature, heat is evolved. Okay, so that is the actual meaning of the statement. So if you want to have a confusion, see, when you have two negatives in a sentence, you can remove that two negatives. See, not, then read that any energy transfer that evolved temperature difference is some way heat. Okay, so then that statement is understood. So these two note is mainly for making a confusion. So whenever there is two negatives in a sentence, just remove those two negatives and try reading. Okay, so any energy transfer that involve temperature difference in some way is heat. Okay, so that is a correct statement. Any energy transfer always requires a temperature difference. Okay, that is not correct. Any always energy transfer does not require temperature difference. Okay, so suppose for example, if two bodies are colliding, energy from one body is transferred to another body in the form of kinetic energy, isn't it? Then that does not require any temperature difference. So any temperature energy that this transfer requires temperature, that is not correct. Okay. On heating, length and volume of object remains exactly same. On heating, length and volume of object remains exactly same. Is that correct? No. On heating, what happens? There happens expansion, isn't it? On heating, there happens expansion. So there is a possibility that length may change, volume may change. Okay. For example, if we are heating a gas, what happens? The molecule space between the molecules increases, isn't it? So that is a wrong statement. Then for statement, whenever there is a temperature difference, heat is the only way of energy transfer, that is also false. So the correct answer is option A. So let's go to the next question. So read the question number 52. Question number 52. If T is the time period of an oscillating pendulum, which one of the following statements is not correct? If T is the time period of an oscillating pendulum, which one of the following statements is not correct? Motion repeats after time T only once. T is the least time after which motion repeats itself. The motion repeats itself after nt, where n is a positive integer. T remains the same only for small angular displacement. So read the statements once more and answer the question. Okay, so what is the answer? Which is the incorrect statement? Incorrect statement. That is statement A, or first statement, isn't it? What is the reason? See, motion repeats after t, after time t only once. So just going through the formula of time period of oscillating pendulum, time period t is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. That means time period depends on length. Okay, so if you don't know the equation for time period of simple pendulum, you can note down t is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. So motion repeats after time t only once. Is that correct? No, it is not correct, isn't it? It is an incorrect statement. Why? Because oscillation, what is oscillation? Oscillation itself means the motion repeats after time period t. That means t is the minimum time for the motion to repeat, isn't it? That means if this is a simple pendulum, it goes like this, comes back to the mean position, then goes like into this side, then comes back to the mean position. And this process repeats after every t, isn't it? After every t, this motion repeats. That's why it is known as an oscillation, isn't it? It repeats. Okay, it does not repeats only once. It repeats many times, isn't it? So that statement is wrong. So you can get the first, that you can get the answer after reading, even after reading the first statement itself. So it is the incorrect statement. All the other statements are correct. T is the least time after which motion repeats. That is correct, isn't it? It is the least time after which the motion repeats. Motion repeats itself after nt. That means if it is repeating after 2 seconds, then if we take 4 seconds, it is after that also we see that it is repeating 6 seconds. So for every value of nt, that will be repeating. T remains the same only for small angular displacement. That is also correct. Okay. So the incorrect statement is statement A. So now go to the next question. Question number 53. Question number 53. If an object moves with constant velocity, then which one of the following statements is not correct? If an object moves with constant velocity, which one of the following statements is not correct? Its motion is along a straight line. its speed changes with time, its acceleration is 0, its displacement increases linearly with time. So you have to see not correct statement. So read and find out. So what is the answer? Which is the incorrect statement? Which is the incorrect statement? Incorrect statement is its speed changes with time, isn't it? That is an incorrect statement, isn't it? Because see, listen each sentence. If an object moves with constant velocity, its motion is along a straight line. That is correct. Its acceleration is 0. What is acceleration? A is equal to dv by dt, isn't it? Or you can say v minus u by t. So when speed is constant, velocity is constant, there is no change in velocity. So acceleration is 0. So that is correct. Displacement increases linearly with time. So if it is a constant velocity, displacement time graph will be a straight line, isn't it? And the slope of this graph gives velocity. V is equal to slope of displacement time graph, isn't it? So this is also correct. So which is the incorrect statement? Incorrect statement is statement B. This is the incorrect statement or not correct statement. So that is the answer. Okay. Now see the question number 54. See the question number 54. An object is moving with uniform acceleration A. Its initial velocity is u, and after time t, its velocity is v. The equation of its motion is v is equal to u plus at. The velocity time graph shall be a straight line passing through origin with x-intercept u, with y-intercept u, with slope u. Okay, so just draw the graph and see. An object is moving with a uniform acceleration A. Please try. So if I draw the graph, they're saying velocity is in y-axis. Velocity is in y-axis. Time is in x-axis. So you need to draw the graph of v is equal to u plus at. How you will draw? They are saying acceleration, the acceleration is there. V equal to u plus at. How you would draw? When time is equal to 0. When time is equal to 0. When time is equal to 0, what does this equation become? V is equal to u, isn't it? Time is equal to 0 means. So when time is equal to 0, u will be here. Now, what happens? This is a linear equation, isn't it? Linear equation. So you get a straight line only. Okay, you'll get a straight line. So they are saying the graph shall be a straight line. That is there. Passing through origin. No, it is not passing through origin because when time is equal to 0, it is not origin. It is at u, isn't it? X-intercept u. X-intercept is not there. X-intercept is not there. Not u. I mean, x-intercept is not u. Y-intercept is u. That is correct, isn't it? Y-intercept is u. Y-intercept is u. So the correct answer is option C. Correct answer is option C. Okay, clear? So when you get a question, you just substitute for T and C. What is the graph you are getting? Okay. Question number 55. What is the net force experienced by a bar magnet placed in a uniform magnetic field? Question number 55. Read that. Options: 0 depends upon length of the magnet, never 0 depends upon temperature. Okay. So listen, uniform magnetic field you denote using parallel lines, isn't it? So if a bar magnet is placed in a uniform magnetic field, its north pole and south pole experiences equal force. Its north pole and south pole experiences equal and opposite force. So we can say the net force or total force acting on it is 0. Total force acting on it is 0 because its north pole as well as south pole experiences equal and opposite force. So the net force acting on it will be 0. Option A. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Next question. Question number 56. Which one of the following has maximum inertia? Which one of the following has maximum inertia? An atom, a molecule, a 1 rupee coin, a cricket ball. Okay. So which is having maximum inertia? Maximum inertia. So how to know that? So on what factor the inertia depends? What is inertia? Okay. So I'll say that what is inertia? You know that it is inertia that is coming from Newton's first law. What is Newton's first law states? Every body remains in its state of rest or uniform motion unless it is acted upon by an external force. That is Newton's first law, which is also known as law of inertia. Law of inertia. Law of inertia. Every body remains in its state of rest or of uniform motion unless it is acted upon by an external force. That is law of inertia. Now, law of inertia is the Newton's first law. Now, on what factor inertia depends? Inertia depends on mass. Inertia depends on mass. If mass increases, what increases? Inertia also increases. So which is having more mass from among this? Among this, a cricket ball is having more mass. So it will be having maximum inertia. Cricket ball will be having maximum inertia. Cricket ball will be having maximum inertia. Cricket ball will be having maximum inertia. Okay. So let's go to next question. We'll go to next question. So question number 57. Which one of the following is the correct value of 1 kilowatt hour of energy converted to joules? Which one of the following is the correct value of 1 kilowatt hour of energy converted to joules? So I have already told you to by heart this value when we took the chapter work energy power. So what is 1 kilowatt hour? Kilowatt hour is the commercial unit of energy, isn't it? Kilowatt hour is the commercial unit of energy. Commercial unit of energy. Now see 1 kilowatt hour, if you want to convert to joule, kilo means 1000, hour means when you convert to seconds, that is 3600 seconds. So we can write this as 3.6 into 10 raised to 6 joules. So that is option B, 3.6 into 10 raised to 6 joules. Okay. So moving to the next question. 58th question. Which one of the following statements about gravitational force is not correct? Which one of the following statements about gravitational force is not correct? It is experienced by all bodies in the universe. It is a dominant force between celestial bodies. It is a negligible force for atoms. It is same for all pair of bodies in our universe. Okay, I want you to answer this by your own. After getting the answers, please comment it. Which one of the following statements about gravitational force is not correct? Not correct. Statement which is not correct. That is required. Okay, so try that. Read the statements. Okay, so what did you get? What is the correct answer? I mean, what is the incorrect statement? That is the answer, no? Incorrect statement, which is that option D, isn't it? Why? It is experienced by all bodies in the universe. That is correct. Gravitational force is experienced by all bodies in this universe. It is a dominant force between celestial bodies. That is correct. It is a negligible force for atoms. It is same for all pairs of bodies. Is that correct? That is the incorrect statement, isn't it? See, what is the equation for gravitational force? F is equal to gmm by r square, isn't it? Where m is the mass of first body, mass of second body. M is the mass of first body, small m is the mass of second body. G is the gravitational constant. R is the distance between them. So it depends on what? It depends on mass. And that's why it is not same for all pairs, isn't it? It depends on mass, so it is not same. They are saying it is same. It is not same, so that is the incorrect statement. That is the incorrect statement. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Question number 59. Whether an object will float or sink in a liquid depends on. Whether an object float or sink in an object depends on mass of the object only, mass of the object and density of liquid, difference in densities of liquid and object, mass and shape of the object only. Read the statements properly and I want you to answer in comments. I want you to answer this. Try that. Whether an object will float or sink in a liquid depends on. Okay, so when we studied this chapter, I have already given you this one. On what does that depends? Suppose I am keeping an liquid and I'm keeping an object. What does that depends? Mainly on density, isn't it? Density depends not on mass or anything. It depends on density. If density of the object is greater than density of liquid, it sink, isn't it? When density of object less than density of liquid, it float. So it depends on the difference in the density of object and liquid. Option C is the correct answer. If density of object is greater than density of liquid, it sinks. When density of object is less than density of liquid, it floats, isn't it? So it depends on the difference in the densities of object and liquid. So option C is the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer. Option C is the correct one. Okay, so let's go to the question number 60. Question number 60. Which one of the following device is non-ohmic? Which one of the following device is non-ohmic? Which one of the following device is non-ohmic? Conducting copper coil, electric heating coil, semiconductor diode, rheostat. Conducting copper coil, electric heating coil, semiconductor diode, rheostat. Tell me which is the correct answer. Give me in chat, all of you. Okay, so first of all, what is Ohm's law? Ohm's law. Ohmic conductors and non-ohmic conductors. What is that? Ohmic conductors are devices that obeys Ohm's law. Non-ohmic means that do not obey Ohm's law. Okay, so here they are asking which one of the following device is non-ohmic. That means it does not obey Ohm's law. So what is Ohm's law? Ohm's law means what is Ohm's law? When it is the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to Ohm's law states that current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to potential difference across the ends of the conductor, provided that temperature remains constant, isn't it? That is Ohm's law. Current is proportional to voltage, potential difference. That is Ohm's law, provided that temperature remains constant. So we'll get a straight line. So the things or the objects which obey Ohm's law are known as ohmic conductors. Okay. So here conducting copper coil, electric heating coil, rheostat, all are ohmic conductors. Semiconductor device, that is non-ohmic. Semiconductor device will have a graph like this. Will have a graph like this, curved. So it is a semiconductor diode which does not obey Ohm's law. Okay. Okay, so we go to the next question. Question number 60. 61. We see question number 61. Which one of the following is the natural phenomenon based on which a periscope works? Okay, reflection of light, refraction of light, dispersion of light, total internal, reflection of light. Okay, we need to answer this. Question number 61. Okay, what is the answer? Reflection of light. So what happens in a periscope? There will be a mirror like this which is kept at 45 degree. Another mirror like this that is also kept at 45 degree. So what happens is light enters, reflect from this, then goes to this, again reflect from this, then reach the observer, eye of the observer. Okay, so actually what happens, there is a mirror here, so reflection happens, isn't it? So reflection of light is the working principle of simple periscope. Okay, so that is and this is kept at 45 degree inclination, so that reflection happens properly. So answer is reflection of light. What about refraction of light, dispersion of light? What can you say some example for refraction? Refraction example in real life example. You can say advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Delayed sunset is an example for refraction of light. Then twinkling of stars, example for refraction, twinkling of stars, example for atmospheric refraction. Twinkling of stars, advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Those are, sorry, that not reflection, refraction. Okay, advanced sunrise and delayed sunset, example for refraction. Twinkling of stars, example for refraction. Then dispersion, example rainbow. Dispersion, example rainbow. Total internal reflection, example brilliance of diamond, brilliance of diamond, brilliance of diamond. Mirage, etc. are example for total internal reflection. Okay, so reflection of light is the working principle of periscope. Then refraction of light, advanced sunrise and delayed sunset, twinkling of stars. Then we have one more phenomenon known as scattering. When we say about light, scattering is another principle and example for scattering. Also, scattering of light, we need to note that blue color of sky, blue color of sky is an example for scattering of light. Then another one, reddish sun during sunset and sunrise. During sunset and sunrise. That is also example for scattering. Reddish sun during sunset and sunrise. During sunset and sunrise, we see red color, isn't it? That is because of scattering. Okay, so these are some examples that you should surely know. They'll usually ask from light the question based on these things. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, so please note down this. Then we'll go to next question. Going to the next question. Question number 62. Question number 62. Which one of the following frequency ranges is sensitive to human ears? Which one of the following frequency ranges is sensitive to human range? Want you to answer that? What is the answer? Yeah. Audible range is from 20 hertz to 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, isn't it? This is the audible range. Sensitive to human ear is known as audible. Audible sound is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So that is option B. This is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, isn't it? So that is correct. Now beyond which is less than 20 hertz, we call infrasonic. Infrasonic. Greater than 20 kilo, we call ultrasonic. Ultrasonic. Infrasonic, ultrasonic. Okay, so 20 below 20 hertz, infrasonic, above 20 kilohertz, ultrasonic. So audible range is between 20 to 20 kilohertz. Okay. So that is about audible sound. Now we'll go to next question. Next physics question is question number 80. Question number 80. Question number 80. Which one of the following statements about the mass of a body is correct? Which one of the following statements about the mass of a body is correct? It changes from one place to another. It is same everywhere. It depends on its shape. It does not depend on its temperature. I want all of you to answer this. Easy question. Okay, what is the answer? It is same everywhere. Correct, no? It is same everywhere. Why? Mass is same everywhere, which is changing weight. Weight is changing. Weight changes. If we are on Earth, we'll have what? One weight. If we are on Moon, we'll have another weight. But mass is same. Mass is same everywhere. Okay, because mass is the amount of matter contained in a body. Weight is the force with which it is pulled towards the earth. Okay, weight is the force with which it is pulled towards the earth. The body is pulled towards the earth. So that depends on gravity of the earth. Weight depends on gravity of the earth, or if you are in moon, weight depends on the gravity on the earth, on the moon. But mass, that is same everywhere. Okay, so mass is same everywhere. It does not changes from place to place. And it does not depends on shape. It does not depends on temperature. It is same everywhere. That is the correct statement about mass. Okay. So we'll see with some more questions in the next class. Thank you, everyone. See you.